Every time gets me every time. Miranda's sitting over there filling orders and laughing because when the drop comes on that intro, we start cutting it up. It is. Happy Friday, everyone. It's Kate Richburg. Welcome to Free Tip Friday on beadshop.com. It is great to have all of you all here. Let me put my, yeah, right. Terry says grabs popcorn, waits for the movie to start. I know. I love it. It's just fun. We have a good time here. We're doing our best. So let me tell you, I've got a couple things to share with you, and then we're going to get into the project. Number one, it is the end of the month, and you saw that Monthly Maker dropped in our newsletter this morning. So congratulations to all the Monthly Maker winners. Let me fix my many colors here. That is the last of our Monthly Maker monthly it's not really a contest. Well, it kind of is a contest. But that's last of Monthly Maker for now. We are going to be adding some new fun things. But it was 2 years for Monthly Maker, which was so awesome. So we have some new things up our sleeves for sure. Thank you. Everyone loves my big collars on collars, lots of stripes. This is a shirt I made actually a while back. It was kind of fun. It's kind of groovy. I don't know. But yeah, I wanted to make it, make it silly today. I love stripes on stripes. I love stripes. I love plaid. I love it all. I love it. And yes, I am wearing my Frida earrings here. And if you'll notice, I'll take them off, but you can see I have one small, large hoop, one small hoop, right? Because the black skulls are a little smaller and the white skulls are a little bit bigger. So it kind of evens out the earring like this. Plus, I like the look. So I got the 20 millimeter. I'm going to add this to the camera so you guys can see it. I've used the 20 millimeter here. This is the project. Let me move that over. I've used the 20 millimeter. Sorry, this is the 30 millimeter with the black skull hoop. And this is the 20 millimeter hoop with the white skull. Okay. And I love how it looks. I love how it looks. So it's super fun. I'll take those off. Do I have another pair of earrings to put on? I can just put them back on, I guess. Anyway, they were fun. We have a bunch of restocks for you folks. So let me come in here. Let me zoom in so you can see this. There we go. You can see that a little bit better. I've restocked the skulls. So we've got plenty of those for you. We've got plenty of roses. I also did a misorder. I reordered and I ordered the white skulls. They didn't have them last time in the same size as the black. So I'm going to be putting those up this weekend. I also ordered some roses that are a little bit bigger that I'm going to be using in my Saturday stitch-in tomorrow. There's more info on that's coming. So you're going to see those put up. So you'll see those in Bead Shop Studio. Okay. I wanted to show you also the Frida patch kits are all set and ready to go. I think we only have like 6 left. So if you were on the fence, my friend Laura came on Wednesday. She was here Wednesday. Yes. And she is so good at everything, sewing, beading, many crafts. She tenderly put all of these together for us. So the Frida kits are complete. All of the beautiful, she even ironed, she pressed with my little iron all of your fabrics. So they're just perfect. You can see there's all your things. You've got your felt back there, and then there's a little thing reminding you where to grab it. So there's only 6 more of these. that are left. The buttons and everything are vintage. They're all different in here. Okay. And you're going to get some snippets of my vintage trims and stuff like that. So they're just so fun, so beautiful, all ready to go. So if you were thinking about getting one, get one. And I think I showed you, and I'll grab it here. And if you like these, I have an idea for another stitch kit. So if you're into it, stay tuned. So here's the one, the finished one that that I did with the kit. So those will be shipping out very, very shortly. So those are ready to go. They were so fun to do and such a fun thing to make. So I'm stoked that you like them as much as I like them. Let me set these aside and let me tell you. Oh, and we can. Let me post that link. JP, I don't know if you can see all of the comments, but would you post that link out? It's over if you go right to patbeadshop.com and you click on the Bead Shop Studio link. That's where you'll see these were a special Bead Shop Studio drop, which means that that they are, let me put that up, that they are kind of limited edition stuff that, you know, it's kind of special things that I have and things like that. So we don't need the video, JP. We just need to grab, or I can do it right here. I've got it right. Let me go to under shop. We go to Bead Shop Studio. I'm going to jump into the Bead Shop Studio Slow Stitch Patch Inspiration Kit. I've got it here, and I'm going to drop it right into the chat. It is right there. That's great. So that's it, and I will show you. It's all right there. My mom, bless her heart, she says she's got 7 journals. She may have 7 to drop next week. That's so exciting. And did Holly's journal go out to her? Yeah. Yes. So Holly, the journal that you won is on its way to you. So, so if you dug those journals, my mom is making some to drop in Bead Shop Studio. So stay tuned to the newsletter. Okay. That's okay. I got you, JP. No worries. Something else that we've got, I should put something here so you're looking at it. Let me put this thing here and the stuff that we're going to be doing here in a second. We have restocked. Janice restocked this morning our Prairie supplies, I guess, all of the just in stuff that dropped that I shared on the live broadcast with you on Wednesday. The leathers are back in stock. The Arizona leathers are back in. The gemstone sliders are back in. But don't sit on your purchase because they're going to go again quickly. We'll keep them in stock because we love that you love them so much as we do. But if you just go to our new arrivals right on beadshop.com, they're right there and you can put them right in your cart. Make sure and use the coupon code that's on the homepage for those items. It's just right there on the homepage. But I wanted to get to this project so that we finish up this Prairie. I want to remind you of the little trick that we did on Wednesday. And then you can be creative this weekend. Let me take another bracing drink of coffee. Okay, let's do it. All right, let me go here. Let me take that link down. I know, Lorraine, aren't those journals my mom makes? They are so special. We're planning our 2 retreats this year. My France retreat, and I'm going to put a link to it on the homepage on Bead Shop. We just have a couple of spots left. My mom is making a gorgeous set of journals for that retreat. You're going to get a sewing kit that I'm making for you for that retreat. That's our France one. And then in August is our regular Bead Shop retreat. I don't know. It's like the 8th annual, or I don't know how many years we've been doing it. It's going to be so fun. And my mom makes special journals for that retreat as well. So that's a way to get your hands on one of those. And more info about the February retreat will be coming down. And oh, Alice, I love that you love yours. You use it almost every day. That's awesome. That's great. Okay, so let me zoom in just a little bit. If I can zoom, there we go. It wasn't responding. Oh, thanks, JP, for putting that up. The France retreat is right there. Soul Stir Magic, you just go to the retreats and it's listed there. So that one's going to be in June, end of June. And it's the perfect time to be in Dufour in France. So we're going to have such a good time. All right. So two things. I wanted to remind everybody of this bracelet that I made. I have been wearing this pretty much nonstop. This is kind of like my single wrap version. I also did this on Wednesday, but I wanted to share it with you. Janice's favorite, right? This trail ride that she did. This is kind of the mini trail ride version with just using the stitched leather. We talked about how to glue these in. I glued this in, how to measure. I've been wearing this one nonstop, and it really stacks nicely when I wear my smartwatch. I love it. So I'm pretty happy with the way that this turned out. So I wanted to share that again with you. A whole wrist stack of just these in singles, or maybe even just like two. We still have some of these antique brass in stock. We have the copper and the silver and more of this brass coming. This is a piece that's made especially for us by our manufacturer over in Greece. So it takes a little while to get them back in, but put yourself on the notification list because they're coming back. You folks just swipe these up because they're so fun to make and so gorgeous, like in Janice's piece. Right here. But grab that stitch leather. If you like this antique brass, which I do, we still have some of those in stock. So, so that's there. So thank you, Margaret, for talking about the pattern. And I want to talk about this again so that everyone's on the same page. The little pattern and template that I made for this Prairie project. So let me show you here. Let me zoom out a bit. So if you remember on Wednesday, what we used here is I had that Arizona denim leather, right there. And we used the Tiger Eye slider. And the project is up. Okay, so you can find the project. It's called Spruce and it has everything listed. I used the infinity slider and I used two of these maze sliders here. And I'm going to show you how I finished it off. I left it loose on purpose. So there was a question on Wednesday, about, well, what if I only wanted the stuff for the Prairie on top of my wrist, right? How do you kind of plan that out? So one of the things that I do is I make a paper template. And this paper template, I just cut it out of regular, copy paper. I grabbed it off the printer. And I cut this. This is 21 inches in length. Okay. So what I did was for 21 inches, this will give me about 3 wraps. Let me put my cuff up here. This will give me 3 wraps. So what I did was I wrapped this 3 times around my wrist and I taped it, remember? So that was the little taped section right there, that C for clasp. Okay. So, and I gave myself a little bit of extra room because obviously when this is in leather, it's not going to be quite this skinny. Okay. Then what I did when it was wrapped around my wrist, I did the little design that I wanted. And then when I unwrapped it, I could see, all right, if the clasp goes here, my first section is here, my second is there, and my third is there. Okay, let me focus this. Hang on one second. There we go. Okay. So let me show you how this translates. And this is a great question here. Question here is, I did a double wrap with the stitch leather, but when I put it on, it was a little too tight. So how can I measure it so that it's easy to take off? So it's an excellent question. So what I did here was, let's lay this out. And hopefully this will help and answer your question. So if this is my first section, and I made it a little bit longer, right? So this is my section number 1. I gave myself about a ½ an inch more on this side so that when I put in my clasp, and I'm using this 5mm clasp, you can use this one, you can use the special delivery one, whatever, we're going to put it on. But it gives me just a little bit of extra length there, right? So I can adjust a little bit from here to there. And I'm going to show you before we glue this all together. I'm going to put it on. We're going to measure it. Okay. But I always give myself a little bit of extra length. Now, as we go through the template, there's this section here, and that was my center slider there. We go down and we go to this section, and it lines up pretty well. I mean, it's about that length. And I did that over the top kind of tunnel macrame. So let me go a little tighter in here so you can see it, right? So it's these new maze, I think these are called. And that little, that was my little drawing for the macrame. So that's there. And this I used, this was the 0.4mm tree bark CKC. This is the regular Ceylon in cerulean. This ADOT, I think, is the avocado, the 8-50, is it 501 or 504? I think 501, 8-501. Then in my last one, let me scoot back. You can see we go down to the last section, and you can see here's my final section here. Okay, and I'm making it actually just a little bit longer as I was playing around with this. And you can see I mixed the cords this time. Okay, so I used one of the cerulean and one of the 0.4. I slid my slider on, and I want to show you how I'm going to finish that section. Then we're going to measure. We're going to finish all these sections. We're going to measure, and then we're going to put on the clasp. Okay, so let's start with this last section, actually. Let me zoom out. And let me show you. So what I did here was, I held 2 of these together, and I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. So a total of 8 full square knots, or 16 half hitches, right? Like this. And that it ended up being a little bit longer, but not by much, right? For this section. So I was thinking that when I slid this slider on like this, I would just slide the thread underneath. Well, the slider is such a good fit for this 5mm. There was no sliding this thread. So what I did was I glued it with some zap. I put a little bit of zap underneath there, glued it down. I did that earlier. So now it's ready for thread burning. Okay, so let's take this one off, this side off. And I'm just going to come in, and as you saw, Janice flashed up on the screen. Thread burners will be back in a couple of weeks, which is great. So make sure that you're on the notification for that. We're going to thread burn those off just like that. And then we're going to tap, heat the tip of the thread burner. Tap it down just a hair like that. We're going to do this. And we'll do the other side. I also glued with a little bit of zap. I'll show you. Let me burn these off first. Get that tip right there. And when it's in position, that's when I hit the button and burn them through. Okay, so I don't accidentally push the thread burner in and, burn something off that I don't want to come apart. So the slider is here. So what I did was I also glued the slider right there on the back, just with a little bit of zap. Okay. So now this is ready to start my second side. And I wanted to show you how I would do this. So I'm going to turn it. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Oh, and thanks, Janice. This is a great piece of advice that I'll put up right there. If you have a good solution for sizing your bracelet a bit. And Janice's email is up there, so you can always give her a shout out. So with this length, with this section, right, since I ended it here, I thread burnt it. You would think, what I was thinking was I would just continue here and I would keep macrame, right? Keep macrameing down. But I want the ends to look nice and finished, right? So what I'm doing is I'm flipping this around. I'm going to start my macrame at about that same length, and I'm going to macrame towards the slider this way. Okay? Does that make sense? So that the endings on these will look the same, and the little gluing and stuff that I have to do will kind of be hidden by that slider. Okay? So if I said 8 full square knots, let me get my threads. This is the Ceylon in Cerulean, and I'm just going to cut off a wingspan. Cutting it off with something that looks like it will cut. There we go. Got my scissors there. And my 0.4 millimeter Chinese knotting cord. And you can see the 0.4 and the 0.4 CKC and the regular Ceylon. The 0.4 is actually just slightly smaller than that regular Ceylon. Can you see that? But they mix together really nicely. You could also use a 5 if you wanted the 0.5 millimeter, but I like the size of this 0.4. I feel like we don't use the 0.4 quite enough. Now I'm going to measure, and we're going to see how long. So that's about 1 inch. Okay. So I'm going to put this right there. Doesn't need to be exact. I could also do a little mark on a piece of paper. That's what Janice likes to do. So let me actually do that. I've got some paper right here. Let me make my little template since we're kind of in template mode. Here's my 1 inch length right here. So that's about the macrame length I want to do. Okay. So let me move this down a little bit. So I've got a little more room to work. And I can line that up. See that there? And I kind of threw my threads. I want to get my threads as even as I can. I'm going to put them behind. As long as I line them up about right on the first stitch, I should be good to go. So let me do that. That looks about right. Okay. So I just start with my macrame. I'm going to start with that P side. I just hold them double as if they were one thread. I'm going to use that template one more time after I tie a couple of knots to make sure that I don't need to slide this in. So there's that one. Of course it moved, so let me move it back up. There we go. And let me do this with the second one. So that is one full square knot. So if the first one loosens, tighten it up and then tighten the one below it. Let's triple check. That looks about right. Close enough. Okay. So this is a good question, JP. So Janice is asking, is there a reason I didn't start the macrame at the infinity slider and go out? A couple of things was I really didn't know what the heck I was going to be doing, right? And I wasn't quite sure with this section. And I wanted like the closing knots to be towards the slider. So I started here, went to the slider, and now I'm reversing that, starting there and going back down to the slider. You could do it the reverse way, start at the slider and work your way out. But this ending is so clean, right? Like that. It just looks, I just think it looks a little bit better. Okay. To my eye. Okay, so now let's macrame it like we mean it. So we want to do 8 full square knots. I think that's what I counted. And we just hold these together so that they macrame together like this. We have our skill builders. I know I'm going here at Kate speed. I'm going fast. But we've got our skill builders over on beadshop.com. One of our over 900 tutorial videos that show you how to do this, right? So I'm going to keep coming in and let's count. Let's see where we are. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm about halfway. So that looks about right. If I have one section, if this side is a little longer than that side, it doesn't matter, right? This isn't, we don't have to be extremely precise.
Are you using 4 strands?
I'm using 2 strands that are doubled.
And then using the middle as, or the leather as the middle.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Exactly.
Cool.
Miranda's all, I'm going to be doing that this weekend.
I just needed to see what
You're like, what are you doing? What's going on there? And I like the way this 2-color stitch looks, right? Let me get a little tighter in there so you can see it. This is the tree bark and the cerulean together. And I think it looks pretty nice. I might have done that. That one I think is off, actually. Yeah, it was. We do that again. This side, there we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is, that side has 7, so this side has 7. I'm going to be a little longer, right? But that's okay. I could also maybe slide it down. It's hard to gauge exactly, so I'm just going to go with the visual. I'm not going to worry too much about the count. I think maybe I'll have like 2 extra stitches, which is just fine. Okay. And like so. Okay. So now, before I tie this last one, this is where the magic happens. Okay. So let me get my, pardon my reach here. I'm getting my baggie. I'm getting my little toothpick, my little paddle thing there. And I'm going to put on some zap right where the knot is going to be tied. You could also use GS Hypo here, But I'm using Zap because I'm doing this live and I want it to be drying really quickly. I'm also putting a tiny line of Zap on the back. Okay. So now I'm going to tie my last knot, trying not to get that Zap glue all over the place. Tying it in. Now, before I tighten that last time, a little drop there, a little drop there. So that when I tighten, that Zap is going to be on the inside of the knot. Okay, a nice firm knot there. And there's a little bit of extra. Let me make sure that both of those threads are even. There's a little bit of extra Zap there. See it? I'm going to take that off. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to look on the back. I can put a little bit of that extra Zap right on back, but that's going to sit for a second. Okay. Let me focus that in. All right, so that's that section. So that's the last section I made. It's a little longer, right? Just use this as your guide, right? If it ends up being a little longer, it's no problem. The section, we don't want the bracelet, we want the bracelet to be the right size, obviously. So now let me show you how I did this one. So this is here. Let me get it back on the clamp. I started here with this one, right? And I glued it. I pushed some glue. I put some glue here and on the top. This slider, can you see? It's really big. There's a lot of room in it, right? So I placed the glue on my leather and slid this down and really held it there so it grabbed. Then I used my cerulean. I came in and around. I did 2 sets of flat macrame right here. And then I did that little tunnel macrame where I put 2 of the 8/0 on my end, right? Like this. You saw me do that on, I think I did it on Wednesday. I don't know. We've done this recently though. This one and this one, right? And then I did it, you pull this one through going the opposite direction like that, right? And the regular seal-on goes through these size 8s, no problem. And then you pull them tight and you tie your knot. Okay? And what I did was I did that little tunnel and then I did a pair of knots below. Then I did another tunnel, 2 plain, another tunnel, 2 plain, all the way down. And this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, lucky number 13 on here. Okay? Then I ended with the set of knots here. Now I'm going to close it off. And having this slider ready to go makes it a lot easier to close this off. Okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a little bit of glue right there, a little bit right there, and a little bit on the leather. Okay? Like that. Let me zoom in so you can see it. Now, before I slide the slider up, I'm going to slide my thread through. And my thread through on this side. Okay. Now, I'm going to make sure that I've got a little bit of zap on the side of those threads as well. Okay, so the thread is going to grab into that glue. Now, we're going to slide this up. That thread comes down nice and tight, and we're going to slide that slider into place. I'm going to get rid of that extra glue. I'm going to push everything down. Make sure it's right where I want it to be. That thread is glued. You can even try, if you want to, you could kind of cross these threads over the top so you know the glue's starting to dry. I don't want to disturb it too much. So you know that those threads are caught underneath there, right? So Andy, these little flat sticks, I'll find these. I got these on Amazon. I will link them in our Amazon storefront. I like them too. I usually use toothpicks, but I got those, I don't know, to do something with resin or something. I will link them. I think I found them on Amazon. I like them a lot. So here's this. This looks like it's setting, which is why Zap is perfect for this. Let me zoom out just a little and let me thread burn this. Okay. So we'll get it here. And I always slide my thread through the tip of the thread burner. Okay, now this, we need to be careful. We don't want to burn the leather here. And I could have done this on the back, right? But I didn't. So I want to make sure that the tip of the hot thread burner doesn't touch my leather. I'm pressing down on the button, letting it heat. There we go. And burning it away. And let the thread burner, don't pull on the thread burner. Let the thread, burn away and it'll just slice through it, right? So I'm pushing the button and there it goes. Okay. So that's it. That's done there. All right. Okay. Everyone saying hello to Miranda?
Hi, everybody.
They can hear her shipping as we speak. Let's get back here. Let's get rid of these. These are ready to go. So yeah, and please do not touch it to your fingers. This thread burner, the tip, that little cauterizing tip is hot.
Don't touch the thread either.
Yeah, the thread gets a little...
That's like when you get hot glue on you, like you get stuck to the hot glue. That's not
right, and you're like running around going, what?
Melted to you.
Yes. So there goes that one. And we do have the replacement tips for these, right? So we'll put that through. So in case something happens to the replacement tip. But here's this. Press the button. Slice it through. And look at how clean. Look at that. Looks so clean. There's a little like sharp bit there. I'm going to heat the tip of the thread burner and just tap it down like that. Great. So that section is done. Let's look at this one. This section is done. Looks good, right? And here's this last one. And this one I glued. So this one is also ready to come off. And I could have done that same trick with this one, but this slider was so big that I could just continue on down here and end it here. Lacey's asking, is it possible to get a beading needle underneath the stitches that are on the leather? It sure is, Lacey. And one of the things that you can do that we have done, like let's say that you wanted to pull this thread back underneath instead of burning it away. What I do is I get the beading needle, the big eye, usually either the big eye or the collapsible eye, whatever it is I want. I'll lay it down and I'll macrame the last few stitches so that the needle is underneath already, if that makes sense. Then I'll thread the threads through the eye of the needle and then pull it through. Then you know that it'll pull. Okay, but this isn't, you know, there's some room underneath there. I would do it on the back for sure. Okay. So let me thread burn these off, and then let's do some measuring, shall we? So here's this. This still has my stopper bead on it, but it'll go all the way through. Let me turn this to the side. Let me make sure it's in my field of vision. Come on. There we go. Push the button. Slice the thread. There's a little bit of extra there, so I can come in and I can fine tune that a little bit. You want to make sure and use this in a well-ventilated area because it does have a little bit of a, you know, off gas to it, because especially with this Chinese knotting cord, because this is definitely synthetic. And we're going to come in again, put the tip of that thread burner right where you want, press the button, slice it through. That one went a little bit better. And I heat that tip there and tap it really gently to get rid of any little sharp end. Okay. Okay. So now let's let me get rid of all this business. Let me put the lid back on this thread burner, right? So it protects that tip. Now, let's take the, I'm not going to glue this on yet. Let's take our template and I'm going to hold it on. So this gives me about that length. Can you see how this last one, it's a little off. So if I wanted it to be a little more even, right, I've got a lot of room to play around with here, right? So I could slide this up a little bit like this. Let me clip that into place. There we go. That looks like it lines up. This looks like it lines up. So I've got a little more space right here. Okay. So I'm going to, and we measured this on Wednesday. I don't know where my little measurer is, but I used this. I'll make another one. I used that little flat end trick that our friend Michelle taught us. And we put like a toothpick, or in this case, these little guys. And we can measure. We know we need about that length. And this is about the same. Okay. So this is the amount that I need to add extra, right? So that it goes inside, you know, so it goes inside the clasp. This clasp is going to add about, where did my, there it is. It's going to add about maybe 3/8 of an inch. Let me just measure the whole clasp. Whole clasp is about 5/8, maybe a little bit more than that. Not quite 3/4. But it goes in a bit. So it's going to add about 1/2 inch, let's say. Okay. So I'm going to come in. I know that this is about the right length. I'm going to give myself just a hair more, right? So I'm going to add this that I know needs to be, you know, with the clasp. I'm going to cut it just a hair longer, just a hair. Right? Like maybe 3 millimeters longer. Okay. And I'm going to clip it across straight with my flush cutters because we want that straight edge to go into this clasp. Now we're going to do the same thing on this side. I've got that much for the clasp. I'm going to give myself a little bit extra. Okay. Because this will allow me to, because remember this, right, how thin the paper is, right? And the leather has width to it, right? So when I wrap this around my wrist, it's going to need a little more length. You know, if our leather was paper thin, it would be fine. But this is about a 1 millimeter width in leather. So typically you'd add that length, that 1 millimeter to the length here so it would wrap. I would do that for just a single wrap. Since this is multiple and it has to cross over itself, giving about 3 extra millimeters is probably about right. Okay, so let's test this. I'm going to put my little template aside. There's my template. And I'm going to mock this up. These 5 millimeter dot clasps have a slight curve, so I know that this is the top. Sometimes if the leather is a little thick, see, it goes in there, but if it's just a little, if it doesn't slide in perfectly, what I do is I taper the edge just a little bit, right? Just a little. And then I get my chain nose plier and I'm going to flatten that leather a bit. Okay. So this is going to go right in that clasp. Okay. Like that. Oh, what's Alfred doing?
Trying to be sneaky, but he's too loud.
Sneaky. Sneaky pants. Oh, and see how I put that upside down. Let me turn it around. There we go. Okay. So that's in. Now I'm going to undo this. Okay. I won't glue it if it's undone because I don't want to glue it the wrong way. But to try it on, I'm going to open it up. I'll flatten down this leather a little bit with my flat nose plier. I'll clip the side. I'll clip the side. And I'll put this end into that clasp. Okay. Now, this is pretty tight in here, so it's going to allow me to try it on. So let me zoom out so you can see this, hopefully, while I put it on. So I'm going to wrap it round. Kind of hard to do this one-handed. Wrap it round. Hang on, I've got to get it kind of out of the shot so I can wrap it around me here. Hang on. Hold the phone. There we go. And see how I can come in. Oh, nope, that came out. Hold, please. Let me try it again. And then I'm actually going to have Miranda put this on my wrist. Okay. Miranda, will you close this up? Hold, everybody. Here, let's wrap. Yeah, wrap one more time. And one more time. And one more time. There we go. And see if you can get that.
Like crossover?
It doesn't matter, yeah. It's just if I put it on, the clasp keeps falling off, and I haven't glued it. Oh, it fell off for you too. Can you? Oh, no. Oh, it fell off completely. Well, it doesn't matter. Here. Let's do this. I can't do it one-handed. Or with
Here,
Miranda's
do you want me to
help.
hold it?
Here, wait. No, I got it. I got it. There we go. So if I'm holding it this way, right? And if I hold it like this with where the clasp would be, I can see it's a little long. I'm going to try this again. Okay. So I'm going to clip off because this is about how I want it to fit, right? So I have some extra. What's Alfred doing over
He
there?
jumped in the chair, so it's fun.
So now it's swinging. So what I'm going to do with this side is, and it's going to be a little bit easier now for me to size it. I'm going to clip off a little bit. So my template size was pretty close to being right on. I'm going to clip this edge. I'm going to clip this edge. I'm going to flatten it down. And we're going to throw caution to the wind. And I'm going to glue this side. Okay. So then I've got a little bit of room here and I've got lots of space. I know this is still probably going to be a little bit big, but let me glue this side on. Okay. So pull that out, get that zap. You want to make sure, Alfred, look what he's doing.
Oh my goodness, he's being so naughty. Oh, he's trying to get your sweethearts.
Alfred, he's trying to get treats.
Are you naughty today?
He's so naughty. He's sitting in my desk chair and he's spinning around like a 3-year-old. So see how I cut that nice and, yeah, everybody wants to know if they need to send Alfie sticks. There he is.
Yeah.
Here, let me show. Here he is. Okay, because this needs to set for a second. There he is. And he's purring.
He's purring.
He's purring. You're purring so loud.
He's not naughty.
Look. Yes.
He says, hello.
Hello, everyone.
I am the star of the show.
He is. Janice is like, for those who are watching who are new, Alfred is Kate's cat, not my child.
And he is
all right.
Employee.
Yeah, he is. He's employee of the month every month.
Yeah.
So now this glue, that Alfred interlude, has allowed us to let that glue set a bit. And we're going to push that right in so that the glue gets contact with the back wall of that clasp. I could have also added a little more glue there on the bottom, but I'm not going to mess with it. Okay. We have a whole ton of 5mm leather. We do. We have it in the Arizona red. Right now, most of the flat leather is in, so if you see it, grab it. Janice will link it. Yeah, everybody's happy to see him. And you got a shout out from Terry. She loves your hair.
Oh, thanks, Terry.
I know Miranda has cascading curls in a bevy of purple tones.
My bangs and textures last night.
Oh, see? So we're going to let this sit. Now, I'm going to try this on again. So, I know sizing these things, see now this clasp it's in there. Sizing these clasps almost take as long as making it, right? Koliti said Alfie blinked twice, which means send me sticks.
Help me.
Yeah. 2 blinks means send me sticks. That is funny. He did bring in a stick yesterday. It was a very nice one.
Oh, it was kind of fancy.
Yeah, it was fancy. It had a little bit of greenery to it. Pine stick. There we go. So this, you can see, since that one side is glued, I can really, this other side will kind of hold. Okay. So let me zoom out. And you can see, yeah, I don't know what's up with this cat today.
Wants his donut.
He cannot have donuts. He cannot have treats. We'll get him a churro later, like an internet cat.
Yeah, or greenies.
Yeah. So I think this is the perfect length, right? I don't need to cut anything off. And look at how everything sits on top. Nothing on the bottom except for the clasp. There's a little bit of this, right? But if you want this kind of look, that's how we mapped it out with this template. Doesn't that look rich? I love it. Love, love, love. So let me just take this off. I can just pull it out there like that, and let's glue it. So this side was good. It was good that I added that little bit, right? Oh, Terry says, my boss's cat busted into a box of custard-filled Bismarcks this week.
That is so naughty.
Oh my gosh, they're so naughty, aren't they?
Well, who's ever smelled the crumb donuts before?
Yeah, Miranda was also naughty and brought in some little donuts this morning that I had with my coffee, and now I've got to go take my walk. There we go. A little bit of that, and let's let me zoom in a little bit so you can see it. I am really pleased with this bracelet, right? I'm glad you folks love it. It was so super fast and easy to do, right? So we want to make sure that the clasp is connected. There's no extra glue around the clasp. We don't want to glue that closed. We want to make sure we're putting the correct size. Look, even the back looks nice. It looks really nice and clean. So this just goes in. I added a little bit of glue on the back. Nothing's twisted. And we slide it in. Okay, just like that. There we go. And if any extra little glue comes out the back, we'll just get our little stick and wipe that down. And that will just, that'll set there for a second, like so. Okay, we'll let that sit. So I think, and that's really true. Terry's saying wrap bracelets are so fun and the rules are meant to be tested for sure. Play around and see what works for you, right? And this is a great question that Marion has. And I'm going to get my watch so you can see how I would stack all of these up. But it's a great question. So does a wrap bracelet have to fit the wrist as a standard, tight, or can it be loose? That's the beauty, my friend, of making these. If you prefer something that's a little looser, which I do sometimes because if I'm typing and stuff, a little bit of a looser bracelet fits nicely. So whatever works for you is perfect. Now my wrist is 6.5 inches, and I'll measure this door to door so you see that length. But let me grab my watch and let's make a stack. Okay, so you can see how everything fits. I think my watch is over on the table. At least I hope it is. Yes, it is. Okay. So here's this. Let's stack it with that other little single one I made as well. And let's see how everything looks. Okay. Yeah, it is. It's getting close to the glue stick. Thank you for noticing that. There we go. Now, what I would do with this, if this were something that, I was making in real life and not on live broadcast demo time, I would make sure that this set for at least, I don't know, I like to let them sit overnight so that the glue really bonds, but I'm going to play around with it and put it on. And if it comes undone, I will re-glue it. Okay, but let me put my watch on. So here's my smartwatch. Let me do that. My Apple. Let me get that. And where's that other one that I made? This one stacks. Let me zoom out just a bit. This one stacks so great with the watch. There we go. Look at how great that looks. It's just perfect, right? Now, let's go ahead and wrap this one. I'm going to try and do it. It's hard to put a wrap. I'm going to have to pull it out of the shot. I'm sorry, friends. Let's do this. Let's go around. There we go. Almost there. And tighten it down. Now, I like to wear my Apple Watch a little higher on my wrist. Okay, so it's so hard one-handed. Come on, pop right in there. There we go. So see, this is a little looser. So this is how I like to wear them. And there's a little bit of space because they kind of cross over. Your mileage may vary. You may like to wear these a little bit higher on your wrist here and have your watch a little bit lower. It just depends on what works for you. Okay, like that. You could also have your watch go in the center. I love a stack, so let me put this in the middle. Like so. I know it's hard to size these for people that you don't know, right? It's hard to make something for someone whose size you're not sure of, right? But I think this template idea that we were playing around with, you could take a template like that, right? Because if you do know them or see them, right, you can make a template like this. Usually, you can kind of, I don't know, maybe you can guesstimate it. But Janice, this is great advice from Janice. Janice says, I would definitely make it adjustable using the leather ends, a lobster claw, and a bit of chain, right? And that closure, it's that 5mm rounded, I think I put them away already. I was cleaning up. But it's the rounded end, the rounded loop end, a little bit of chain, and that swivel clasp will work really nicely together. Okay. But yeah, look at this. It looks good, I think, here with everything and everything stacked up. And it's kind of nice. Usually I'm like, oh, I need to have something on the back, but I don't mind having like nothing on the back like this, right? It's nice and streamlined. And then here on the front is all the business. Love. Yeah. Thank you, Lorraine. The colors were completely off the cuff. I don't actually usually wear tiger's eye a lot, but I like it very much with this. I love it how it matches the tree bark. I like this little infinity. So yeah, I'm saying yes to this, right? And what you could do is, if you're making this for a present for someone, and you're going to see that person, and you're going to give it to them in person, you can like finish it off, glue the clasp on one side, and then after they fit it, right? It's like a bespoke thing. You have a little fitting session and you fit it to them perfectly. You can make it part of the gift, right? So, oh, thank you. I'm really pleased with it. I'm just going to wear this all day and be smug in my in my adornment, right? Look, I love it. Love. Let me fix myself up. All right. So that's what I've got there. Now, tomorrow, Saturday, I am planning on doing a little Saturday stitch in because number one, it's the debut. I've got it right here. You're going to see it tomorrow of Miranda's first monthly mix. I'm going to be doing a stitch in on a project that we did a while back that I think you're going to love. And it's just going to be super casual. So it'll be around 10:30, again, regular broadcast time. I will put a link up to it on YouTube so you can set yourself a reminder. And you're just going to have to tune in tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. Tomorrow is the 1st, February 1st. Goodbye, January. Hello, February. Month of love, right? Black History Month. My grand's birthday month. Pisces season. All of that, right? So anyway, it's going to be fun. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Thank you so much for joining us today. Do know that in our Just In, today is the 31st of January, last day of the month. We restocked a bunch of all of this new leather stuff. So I would jump on it because it's going to go out of stock again. We'll restock it, but if you're ready for it, grab it today. Shipping is we're fast and furious. There's some updates on the homepage, but we're going to be, back to being caught up very, very quickly. So, and if there's something that you need super fast, my friends, please just shoot us an email and we'll expedite that order. But we are moving through them all fast and furious. So we super appreciate your support because, my friends, as you know, being a small business isn't for the faint of heart. So we very appreciate each of you who support our small business and the small businesses of all of our bead world friends, for sure. Do know that you can find us, as always, on all of our socials: Facebook, Pinterest, Insta. Hit that like and subscribe button over on YouTube so you never miss a broadcast, and find us all over on the social media platforms at beadshop.com. And if you have questions, you know where to shoot them: info@beadshop.com. Alita, great job setting an alarm. I will make the broadcast for tomorrow at 10:30. I think you're going to like what I have in my head. I'm going to really start it from scratch. So we'll see how far I get. But I think it's going to be a good, fun idea for you folks, and for this folk right here. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Lots of love back to you. And happy February tomorrow, everybody. We made it. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.